Hello, Kai.
Yes, hi, hello.
Welcome to my Book of Light and a warm welcome to Kai Muegge. You are a famous physical medium from Germany. I hardly need to introduce you, but please introduce yourself, Kai.
Oh, I'm 50 years of age and I'm a public demonstrating medium for manifesting spirituality, physical forms of spirituality that is manifesting objectively in our environment, and it is an ancient form of communicating and dealing with spirits, and it is a reviving way and form of how to deal with spirits, and we are happy to talk about that and to teach the people the techniques.
That's great. And that's what you are also doing now, aren't you?
Oh yeah, that was always
the case.
One part of what we were doing, motivating people to form circles, and dozens have formed in the last years all around the world, and we are specifically happy about that.
Thank you, and also a warm welcome to all my friends from my circles Terra Mystica. Most of them are here again for you, Kai, because we love very much everything you're sharing.
That's very, very much appreciated. Thank you so much for once more being with us.
Yes. A lot of people told me that they learned so much from the things you already shared with us. Thank you for that, Kai.
You're welcome.
And possible we love to learn more from you. To listen to the insight of the experience you have that brings, the flowers a lot of us wished for. Some listeners are sitting for physical phenomena, and when they listen also to you, it gives a wider, let's say, perspective, if I can say it that way. And I believe, Kai, that a lot of people who call themselves spiritual, that they reject almost immediately what I can't understand. When the door is shut, so is the mind, isn't it?
Unfortunately.
No problem. They need to take it easy, and we accept that, of course, don't we? The damage one person can cause because of that is enormous, and that can harm integrity and good intentions. I'm aware for myself not to reject what I do not understand today, because it's not my truth yet, and I do realize it maybe never will. But it does not imply that it's not true. We all have our blind spots, don't you think so?
Absolutely, absolutely.
So in the last conversation, I thought to speak now more about your path along the timeline of your age, but I want to ask you to let it go for now. Whenever you want to talk about it, it's fine, you're welcome. Is that okay with you? And I would love to speak in this chapter of this book, Flight, about ectoplasm, the phenomena.
Oh, yes.
How it is produced, etc. Is that okay with you?
Absolutely, you're welcome.
We all love that because, we are all listeners to you and sitting in a circle and learn, we hope. So we collected a few questions for you. So let's go for it. Let's go for it.
Myself always as well, of course, in these conversations. This is always a giving and taking.
Yes, of course. First of all, can you tell us what is ectoplasm?
Yes, ectoplasm is the seance room artifact, or an artifact in the Western ceremonial space, in the tradition of talking to spirits. Materialization was over the times widely distributed and well known, but not before the Western world was involved with its own tradition. The materia for the materialization was given a name, and that for sure had to do with the reductive approach of the Western Hemisphere's sciences to cut everything in pieces and give every piece a name and so forth. But additionally, specifically in the Western ceremonial space, so in the seance rooms. The seance rooms are the Western ceremonial spaces for spirit communication. Specifically in the Western ceremonial spaces, the spirits were focusing specifically or seemingly specifically onto the physical. The physical phenomena which are reported from the seance room do not necessarily top reported materializations from indigenous or from shamanistical environments, but they do clearly count to the strongest physical phenomena which had been observed over the centuries. We believe that there is clearly a reason therefore, because in our society the materialistic is so very much in the focus of everything. And so it became a focus in the seance room as well. And the spirits actually show us that the material actually is an illusion and has its own true spiritual nature as well. So the ectoplasm appeared as an occurring artifact, as an occurring presence in the spirit ceremonies of the West, and that means that from very, very, very early on of the movement, already in the 1850s, ectoplasm was reported. At that time, the word ectoplasm was not even existing. It was existing, but only in microbiology.
Really?
Yes, it is actually a term from microbiology, and Charles Richet did land it from microbiology and transferred it into parapsychology. But we come to this in a second, because in these very, very early times, 1856, very well-informed American members of the movement were describing that at these times, in the 8th year of the movement, materialized figures were frequently be seen already. 1856 materialized figures were frequently be seen in the seances in America. And Daniel Douglas Hume, who was such an early medium as well, he produced materializations as well, even though his materializations were a little bit different.
Why?
Excuse me?
He is called DD.
Daniel Douglas Hume.
Yes, sometimes you see him written like DD, Daniel Douglas.
Exactly,
yes?
exactly. DD Hume,
yes.
yeah.
What was different, Kai?
Different was that his materializations were transparent and were very, very short-living. They only could be seen under specific light conditions, but they were objective by all what we know. They were frequently seen, but of course not so very much often like the other hooded forms of materializations, hooded in ectoplasm. But that was the difference between D.D. Hume's materializations and all the other materializations that were occurring at that time. At these times, ectoplasm was called spirit cloth because it was this white mass of material. The spirits were enclothed and wrapped in, but also when no spirits were occurring, spirit cloth was produced by the spirit entities, by the spirit controls, and the mediums were handling it and were showing it to the sitters as later, for example, in Schrank's sittings or in Einar Nielsen's sittings, ectoplasm was manipulated with their hands and showed it to sitters, gave it to sitters, put it over sitters. So that happened in these very early days as well, only with the difference that the term ectoplasm was not existing and that it was called spirit cloth.
Did they see it in the dark, or do you think they put some red light in that time?
As far as I know, I believe they saw it under all conditions. That means there was already illuminating spirit cloth existing. Very, very much often the spirit entities that were materializing were self-illuminating. They were glowing by themselves. Our very first spirit materialization in 2015 was also a full darkness materialization, but that was completely glowing. Slightly glowing, but enough that this little girl was well visible for everybody. So in these very early days, slightly glowing phantoms were seen, and so I believe that the handled spirit cloth also from time to time had the ability to glow, but specific cases I cannot remember at the moment, but for sure I know that the spirit entities had a glow coming with them, and of course in red light and in candlelight and in massively lowered light.
Yes.
Ectoplasm was observed and checked out many times. Mediums were cutting pieces out of it and gave it to the sitters only to make fun out of them when they realized that it dissolved by itself within the next hours.
So, like while you're telling this, I must think about, the kermis. Wat een kermis? I need some translation. What's a kermis? Where children go to have fun. You can go in little cars up and down, and they have like wat is dat? Wat is een suikerspin? Suikerspin gaat het om. From sugar, the pink thing.
Candy floss.
Yes,
it
disappears. You can eat it, and if you don't eat it, it will be gone soon.
Yeah,
but it's different, of course. So yes, that was great, and it's so in such early times. Also, there are from very early times pictures. I was amazed that there were already so many pictures so long ago from this phenomenon.
1874.
Yes, I was amazed to see this in those books. Wonderful.
Crookes shot the first photograph.
Yes.
with Florence Cook.
Yes. Absolutely, yes. There are a lot of tests done in the past on ectoplasm because people wanted to know what is it. And you put in on Facebook not long ago a link also to get more understanding of this ectoplasm. I put a link also on mediumship.blog from your site where there is explanation about ectoplasm. But are there recently also some tests that they're running, as far as you know? They're looked in today in what is ectoplasm. Are there scientists who want to have a piece of your ectoplasm?
In my case, you mean?
Is it asked to you?
Oh, yes, it was asked, but there is always a financing question
really
open. So everybody, of course, would like to do research, but to have a professional laboratory at hand costs right from the start quite a lot of money. So you need to have a funding partner. As far as we know, eventually that will lead to nothing. We have chemical laboratory results in regards to ectoplasm. And what we find on a chemical base is not answering our questions in regard to what is going on in the seance rooms. So the chemical laboratory will be able to find the bodily ingredients which are part of the ectoplasm, but how the ectoplasm is working and how it is controlled.
No, okay, that's something else, yes.
Absolutely, and that bodily cells and everything like that is involved. We know there were several chemical laboratory studies.
There were, yes, absolutely.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And I remember.
They are all published. They
are published, but it's from long ago. So maybe there are some scientists nowadays who want to shine their light on it again, you know. But I remember that when one of those who sits in the back of us, one of those ladies, had a question, and now I will ask you that because it's we're talking about it. She said, "Is there sometimes a leftover of ectoplasm, maybe on clothes or something, that you can keep and conserve on a special way?"
Actually, yes. We had ectoplasm rests from the seance, and actually we were even publishing it without comment, but nobody was reacting on it. So we were keeping it, and it was slowly dissolving. Now, over the course of a year, it has completely dissolved. I still have the photos somewhere. It was ectoplasm coming out from the eyes. It dissolves. It dissolved, and there is only the little tiny container we had it in. The story I already told in this article, because it's interesting how the term ectoplasm actually, or how spirit cloth became ectoplasm actually. That's quite an interesting story, but you read about it, of course, in the article, how Charles Richer, the sittings in Algiers with Marc Béraud, at the Villa Carmen, at the General Noël. It's quite an interesting story because it were the early days of the career of Marc Béraud, or Eva Carrière, one of the main mediums of Schrenk,
yes,
who did write his main work with her and Stanislava P.
Yes,
a Czech Republic lady. Yes.
Yes, so everybody, we check that. Nowadays, Kai, there are some mediums who tells us that ectoplasm is not needed anymore because of energy-based mediumship that has developed over the last decades. What do you think? Or does they both do their own work?
That's very, very difficult in regards to the proving for this energy way of working. At a certain point, I believe the results the Skull Group had actually could never be repeated. So there is energy-based mediumship, what we call a group mediumship, that committed and engaged people simply can sit together without a medium. That's true, and they will have results. But actually to to ignite a whole seance room. I have not learned about mediums who were, that's not true. Bill Meadows, I believe, he's an English medium or an Irish medium who says he works with energy, and I believe another guy, Chris Howarth, he also works publicly as a physical medium. He also claims that he's partially working with energy. But I always wonder how they do discern with what they work, because the spirits simply manifest through you. I would say, ectoplasm already was a placeholder. To put a second placeholder besides ectoplasm only complicates things, actually, as long as it is not a clearly discernible, a clearly distinguishable second form of appearance. It is hard to add this energy thing besides the well-proven ectoplasmic evidence we have. I don't want to negate it. I only say it is hard to prove. And because ectoplasm is a placeholder already, we could not even distinguish both. Because both are only placeholders. I always say it is very probably coming from the same kitchen. So it is, in my understanding, every time physical phenomena do manifest visibly, usually it is referred to as ectoplasm. We don't even have visible manifestations of energy besides Skoll. The Skoll group made amazing results with these so-called energy beings, photographs that were never published, and we should ask Robin in the future if he might like to share these images of energy beings that were visible in the seance room.
And why,
of Skoll.
Why do you think it was not published yet?
Yeah, because I don't know. In the book, of course, they only had a certain space, and maybe they did choose, and they believed people maybe could not handle these photos because they look a little bit strange. They look like faces with little whirls, with little vortexes, glowing red, orange, red, and vortexes are for the eyes. Another vortex is for the nose, slightly looking different, and another vortex is for the mouth area. And Robin showed me these photos many years ago. We should definitely ask him.
Yes, absolutely.
As long as there is not a copyright problem or whatnot, to show them to us.
Yeah, so please, Robin, if you watch this video, we would love to see them.
Yes, Robin.
Yes. Okay. Yes, it's marvelous. So there are different kinds of phenomena possible, but the ectoplasm is the basic, what always will be, I believe.
In regards to the physical phenomena, ectoplasm, yes, I believe, plays a central role. I very much believe so as well.
Yes. Okay. So now I have a question again. It's, I believe, a quite complicated question, which consists of 3 parts, and I would like to hear your vision about it.
Do I need to make notes?
Yes. We will start with the first one. Okay. Is there a free choice of a medium to develop ectoplasma phenomenon? Do you think so, Kai? Let me say the three, and then we come back to this one. Is that okay? The second question is, or is it in someone's blueprint to get started with it at some point in life? And the third question, or is it destined that it is no more than a possibility in one's life, but ultimately a free choice of the medium himself? So the first question was, is there a free choice for a medium to develop ectoplasm phenomenon?
To a certain degree, yes, because spirit communication and its different forms of expression are something very ancient. We even believe that communicating with supernatural realms is an archetypical behavior of the human being, and all what do anthropologists know about spirit communication and how old it is. They actually do believe that even the early forms of human existence, like for example the Neanderthal human being, actually also already was communicating with the supernatural realm. So in every society, in every hemisphere, in every century, spirit communication was happening, and was happening in different forms of expression. So basically I believe that this is so ancient that actually it is written in our all blood. It is written in our all DNA. The question is how early in life you are enabled to activate it and to actually start to produce a flow of that talent, so to speak, or of that ability, of that human ability. But on the other side, a scholar of mine, and I wrote an article about the flow circle. He's a guy in his 60s who became the main ectoplasmic medium of a befriended circle, the flow circle. And he did that for the first time when he was 60.
Yes, that was the man we talked before about, I believe.
Yes, and I have the images in the meantime online on my blog because for a long time I was not allowed, as you remember.
Yes.
These images are out, and these images are amazing. You need to immediately.
I will. Can I put some of them a copy in this video?
Yeah, you can. They are public in the meantime.
Okay. So we will see it.
Because that is massive. The ectoplasmic development.
Yes.
It is coming, obviously, or for me, obviously, from my school, because this guy was coming for years in my workshops and so forth. And now I have another amazing news, actually, because after intensive preparation, a pair of mediums who are sitting in an experimental circle for physical phenomena. He is serving as a deep trance medium, channeling mainly Karl Marx, actually.
My goodness.
But very, very kind and very Hans Bender-like. So a good and bright guy who comes with the name Karl Marx. You know, that's always difficult with the names.
What's in the name? Okay.
Exactly. After 2 weeks of intensive preparation, They achieved in a workshop of ours over a weekend ectoplasmic extrusion.
Okay.
And not only ectoplasmic extrusion, but very much active ectoplasm. And they are a pair, they are married, and the ectoplasm of the one was clearly attracted by the other one who was sitting in front of the cabinet. And it was so strange to see that. It was nearly birth-like, and the ectoplasmic mass on the floor, if you wouldn't have looked directly at it, you could have thought it is maybe a baby crawling on the floor.
Really?
Towards the partner who was sitting outside of the cabinet observing everything. So for the first time we achieved someone in the nearer past to actually bring scholars of ours to the point that they could produce ectoplasm during a weekend, and we are lucky enough to have it photographed. So, but they were massively committed, and they were extremely preparing themselves for everything, and I believe that for sure is important and necessary.
Okay.
So you see, there are different, obvious, seemingly different opportunities to link into the meme. Yes, to activate what we have activated in the Felix Circle as well. Modern times, ectoplasmic extrusion and phenomena.
And does this wonderful couple also achieve to have this ectoplasm in their own circle after they sat with you?
At the moment, I have no news from them. We to not set them under pressure. We decided that they, over the course of the next month, don't report to me what is going on. This is massively necessary when the people come from our high energized workshops. It is massively important that they hold back their ego and hold back the will to transfer everything one-to-one into their own spaces. At their own spaces, always things are different than they were at the workshop.
Of course, because you were there, by example.
Exactly, but I mean, in this case it was obvious. I am shielded from these forms of productions with my trance culture,
yes,
with my trance routine. I have to go through all these protocols to get into the state that the spirits overtake. And here I was clearly a sitter, and I prepared myself a lot, therefore, to be a sitter. And I mean, it fell from the face of the lady. So I was there, but that was her ectoplasm, not mine.
Yes, okay. It's amazing that you're sharing, and I'm very curious how this couple will continue with this developing.
Absolutely, me as well.
Did you expect it to be there?
Only in the last 3 days, because when we have people in Hanau going through this intensive training, I have very clear visions how to proceed, and I had a very strong idea that at that weekend it probably might happen that this couple would be having such a result.
Okay. Did you, first of all, I believe you, at the moment you had in darkness, no? You were sitting in darkness together to develop it, yes?
Yes, and in red light.
Or was you sitting all the time in red light, or a little red light, or was you sitting totally all the time in darkness?
No, we were like always, in the initiation phase. You are sitting in darkness. And when the spirits are ready and the ectoplasm can appear, you turn into red light. Otherwise, we couldn't have seen it.
Exactly.
So we had good red light, and I actually filmed and photographed it. So these images will be published.
But was it your guides who told you that it was ready to do in red light to look for the ectoplasm, or was it the guides of those couple who were telling this? How did you know?
We were guessing. We were from time to time. I was hoping that it would occur, but I actually did not know it.
So you were very lucky, but maybe more than lucky. Maybe your guide was giving you some information, no?
Yeah, in these workshops, there is a connection between the guides of the Felix Circle group and the guides of the visitors. Yes, I am getting information from my guides, and their information might even contain information directly referring to the scholars, to the guests. But this is not actually a form of timeline that, at 2 o'clock and 15 minutes you will have ectoplasm.
No, but Kai, I jump from this to another maybe subject, but it's linked. By example, there are mediums who had also direct voice guides who could speak also in the seances. Next to the medium or beside the medium, without the medium using their own voice, and through a trumpet, by example, who gave advice when to put the light on and when to photograph.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
So there was guidance.
No, not in our case. Not in this.
But you heard about it.
I understand what you mean.
You heard about that.
Oh, of course.
Okay.
That was not happening at that day. No.
Okay, so it's very interesting what you're telling.
Yeah, absolutely, it is.
Yes. Part 2 of that question. Or is someone's blueprint to get started with it at some point in life? Can you believe that?
We believe the earlier the better.
But can you believe that someone is born with a kind of blueprint of the goals in life?
We believe we are all born with this blueprint.
So that there can be in this blueprint written that at some point in that life it can occur. Circumstances will be there, and to work in a way for spirit, to serve spirit.
Definitely.
Okay,
yes.
So this is also possible. But to go back to part 1 of the question, I'm still a little bit curious, because if I listened well to you, you say it's in the basic of every human to develop it. Mm-hmm. Only if you have contact with that early base, that deep roots inside you, or the deep connection inside of all of us, to recognize it early in life, and then it can maybe develop itself. Am I right, or am I wrong?
It depends. I mean, the least people are today, in a way or form, encountering, let's say, in their early youth, spiritualistic circles or something like that. Mm-hmm. Only very, very few people of the movement, okay, they are not so few, but Um, it depends on if in your life you had the opportunity to address it. When that does happen, I believe is not so very important, as we see with the flow circle medium, who
Yes.
with 60 years of age
Yes, of course.
developed an ectoplasmic
Yeah.
mediumship and ectoplasmic ability. So somewhen in your life you have you need to encounter the opportunity, the environment. Then of course you have to be committed and engaged yourself. So you see there are several points that have to fall into places here.
Yes. So if someone wants, just like example, a neighbor, oh, that's wonderful, I want to try to achieve that. This will not be the case, don't you think so?
No.
So
no.
it's not for everyone. We can say it that way.
No,
Yes?
definitely not.
Okay.
Definitely not.
So
Education, training,
absolutely,
discipline, knowledge, very important.
Yes, I thought about it, and
The memes and the backgrounds.
Donnie,
you're grilling me. I need to lit a cigarette.
Oh yeah, I don't. Take your time. Als jullie wat willen drinken, hè? Of wat zijn hele lekkere koekjes in de. Oké.
Can we then actually have a 1 minute pause, and I will check the recording, and then we reconvene?
Okay, all right, best.
All right. So we can take a cookie out of the cool cast. Oh, kunnen we gewoon er weer bij pakken?
I'm back in a minute, Lonneke.
Yes. Okay. Okay. So, let's continue after our break, Kai.
Yes.
And the guys here, we drank what and we ate something, so we can go on with this interview. So you believe in the blueprint. That's what we just left our last few minutes talking about the blueprint. You believe some person is born with a blueprint in life. If I understood you well.
Yeah, no, I believe that everybody has the ability to play a role within spirit communication.
Yes.
And then it depends on engagement, commitment, training,
Yes,
knowledge, will, if it is thinkable, that a physical form of mediumship can occur.
Yes, and this is the next question already you answered, so very wonderful how you did that, because the next question was what kind of qualities a physical medium has to have according to your idea to be able to develop this phenomenon till a certain degree so that spirit can work with it.
Yes.
So that's already you almost answered, I believe.
Yeah, it is good to be early involved. It is good to be very, very knowledgeable. It is good when you are willing to completely take on the role you automatically have when you're working as a medium or when you're working as a physical medium. So you need to want to live that and to take all the ups and downs which are coming with this form of mediumship, or which is basically coming with mediumship. Mediumship is always, because it is something subtle, it is always an affair of ups and downs.
Absolutely. Kai, does a medium needs to have some qualities as a now, let's say, does a physical medium needs to have the same qualities as a mental medium in your opinion? And if not, what makes someone a physical medium in that matter?
That's a little bit difficult, because I can mainly talk about my physical mediumship here, and my physical mediumship here is a little bit, I don't want to say beyond, but besides classical forms of mediumship, because we started to look at that whole survival thing from a much more contemporary viewpoint, and looking at the question of life and death and where we're coming from and where we're going to, from the perspective of an educated spirit of today. You simply address it differently as it was addressed in the 1900s. But the whole mediumship market today is still belonging and based on the ideas coming from an individual's understanding, coming from an individual's mechanistical worldview of the early 1900s. And from more or less from the beginning on, we in the Felix Circle were more applying modern stances, modern viewpoints from non-locality over quantum and string theory and timelessness, multidimensionality, and all these things. And from that perspective, you are looking at that life and death issue quite differently. So my mediumship was inspired a little bit by different topics as the classical mediumship of the institutionalized spiritualism is usually inspired. Do you know what I mean?
Yes. It's. I believe I do understand a bit what you mean. It's more abstractive, no? More abstract. Hoe zeg je dat al? Zeg ik dat goed? Abstractive. Yeah. In the way you are. What I understand is that you, if I understand it well, that you look to it more abstract, not so much in boxes, not so much. Tastbaar, niet zo tastbaar, hoe zeg je dat? You cannot describe it like this is a pair of glasses or what. It's more open, it's more abstract, yes?
Yes, and it has to be because coming with the idea that consciousness is the base for everything. Things like the afterlife realm, which is a location actually, a location somewhere else, as this here and now is allegedly or seemingly a location, with all these modern theories in regards to how consciousness and reality are functioning with one another, all these places do actually not exist. Neither our reality we believe we are living in, nor...
Now it's getting very difficult, for people to listen to. We exist. We exist. But you exist.
This is the newest information about these issues,
Okay. Then Kai, please tell me, what is existence for you? If you talk in that matter, there is no existence.
What, existence of the individual or existence of
maybe you
all
can
living matter? Or
yes, the dimensions, spirit, where it is located, you were talking about, yes?
The dimension of spirit?
You was just talking about where spirit is located.
Yeah.
Consciousness is located.
No, consciousness is non-local.
That is what I want to say. If it's non-local,
yes,
and you are...
it is only existing informationally.
Absolutely.
Or spiritually, let's say.
Okay, but it can express itself.
Oh, yes, no, of course.
So it can express itself in different dimensions.
Yes, probably.
And
yes.
we can connect with these dimensions because we're part of it in a certain way.
Exactly.
So it's everywhere and it's here.
Exactly.
Okay. That's not the case. I understand you.
Yeah, okay.
Well, now, it's difficult, but I believe so.
Yeah,
I believe so too.
We need to use metaphors and
yes,
images to describe it, and in the end, you can understand what non-locality is.
Yes, absolutely, and I believe so, and it's difficult to talk about, but I think we expressed it well, for as far as I can. Now I would like to share a few words about the risk of physical medium, where a medium has to deal with. If you are okay with that. So,
yes.
Okay. It's a very basic questions. Why does a medium have to drink much water?
Because the ectoplasmic-based phenomena do have very much water or liquid immanent. That means a big section of what we experience as ectoplasm is actually made out of water. And when you are involved in physical phenomena that are happening in the room, when you are involved in physical phenomena that even produce visible ectoplasmic structure, a certain amount of liquid is exiting your body, and the usual outcome are headaches and cramps, and the junctions do ache, because the body has been taken off a lot of liquid.
Yes, they always tell us to drink water, drink more water, drink water. So thank you for get more understanding of it. How can a medium be harmed while a phenomenon takes place several meters away where the medium sits? I read about it that it can happen. So that, no, let you answer it first.
Yeah, I give you an example. I give you an example that occurred in Sweden many years ago, and the medium was, when I refer to the medium, I'm talking about me. The medium was sitting in the cabinet, respectively directly in front of the cabinet, and was being held from the left and right side at arms and legs. Meanwhile, on the opposite side of the circle, people were touched basically all over the circle, but instructions were being given by the circle leader, my wife, that nobody should try to catch these hands or to try to shake hands with them or something like that. And there was a Swedish lady who understood the opposite. She understood. She was wanted to shake hands with the structure.
Oh my goodness!
And she actually tried to get in contact.
Yeah, you're laughing, but it didn't harm you.
I mean, let me tell you what happened then. I awoke the moment I was receiving hits, blows into my face, as if you are taking a towel, a wet towel, and you throw it against somebody. You can use it like a whip, actually. Mm-hmm. And I had the feeling as if a towel was whipped into my face 2 times.
My goodness.
And immediately I started to bleed out of nose and out of the mouth, even though neither in the nose nor in the mouth there was a wound visible. It was actually seemingly bleeding from the cell openings of the skin or something like that, or from the mucosa, actually, the mouth's mucosa inside of the mouth. And so people were shocked, and a big drip of water, a big drip of blood was in front of me, and people were shocked. How can that be? Why is spirit not shielding the medium, safeguarding the medium? How can something like that happen? Usually we inform, respectively. That day was a reason that we even more thoroughly tried to inform every sitter previously to the seances that despite the medium is sitting 5 meters away and he's definitely at his place, the medium is somehow involved on a level, on a grade of reality we don't understand and we don't see. But the medium is involved what is going on, even on the opposite side of the circle.
Yes.
And if you interfere with ectoplasmic structure, the ectoplasmic structure is very quickly retracted. And this quick retraction, can cause harm. Indeed.
Really? Yes. I also read about under the nails even there was blood by some medium. And I think this is very scary. You really need to trust your sitters very much. And yes, you have a lot of trust.
Yeah, I have to, and I have Julia at my side. Julia is a close combatant. She's trained in close combat, and everybody who would attack me would have to fight with Julia. So I can trust.
Absolutely, I'm 100% sure. Of course,
Julia will defend.
You're
it's
special couple in many ways, I think, and you can count on each other.
But we never were attacked.
No,
these were all accidents.
It's always like that. Or it is stupidity, or people did not understand it well, of course. And do you have still some difficulties today when you have so many seances, open seances, so to speak, that everybody can join? Do you face difficulties nowadays? Or is it now a little bit more known?
It is very important to know that not everybody can join our seances.
No.
Everywhere where we are, people are specifically sorted out by the host. Specifically, they are coming out of the direct environment of the host. Mm-hmm. Usually we know about everybody. Everybody in the room is known by somebody else. I mean, we have this strict numbers restriction. We cannot sit with 60 people. We only always can sit with 16, 17 people.
That's more than enough, yeah.
Yes, and that makes it, on the one hand side, we have to deal with a huge amount of interest, and we have not enough seats for the sitters usually. On the other hand, because it's only a small group, usually everybody is somehow known, no matter where we are. If it is in Australia or New Zealand,
you're always known by someone.
Yes,
it's not just coming from the air. But you
absolutely, and this is important.
Very important, and still.
Would that be strangers? I could not trust the way I needed to.
No. I think you're very. Can you say brave? How you work with that? Kan je dat zeggen zo? Very brave.
Yes, thank you. But this was done all since the dusk of mankind. Since the beginning of
but still, you're a person, a living being, and it can be harmed. And you're giving so much on stake. It's your life, isn't it?
Yeah, but somebody has to do it.
That's it. That's why I'm sitting here now interviewing you on these matters. Not because that I like so much to be on the YouTube. Not at all. Okay, we continue. I know you had a little film on YouTube or on your channel that you talk about that phenomena first must be developed in a circle in the dark before there can be some light added. And there are still questions even after what you explained, and of course it is for me clear that it has to be developed, because what I understood from my spirit guides is that they come from light through dark again into light. And if we put on the light on bright like that, and I'm sleeping, or I was in, let's say, in a kind of meditation, then I will go, whoa, what are you doing? Go back with the light. So they need to adjust a little bit. That's what I understood. But it is amazing for them to try to come forward, to work also with some light. It's also maybe a kind of risk for them. I don't know.
I have never heard about a harmed spirit, but one thing is for sure, the realm of the spirits is the darkness. This is the main reason, therefore, that the human being is afraid of the dark. Basically, the most basic experiences referring to darkness are the experiences in the motherly womb. So basically, somebody should feel in the dark very safe. But something is very much older than this information. And you know, when we look into a folk belief and so forth, the spirit hours is the night, is in the midst of the night. The incubi and succubi, they sit at night on your chest. Bedroom visitors come at night and abduct you. The same, the UFO.
Yeah. So that's another video.
I only want to say, this is all connected with night, and night because night it is dark. Yes. Justinus Kerner, he was a scholar of Paracelsus. He called this whole complex the night side of nature, also referring to the dark environment. These things, or the human being has learned that these things occur in.
Absolutely.
The word occult itself,
yes,
says translated,
absolutely,
that what comes from darkness. So yes, these things have a connection to darkness, yes, why ever that is.
Yes.
And if you want to experimentally bring them up, you of course choose the environment these phenomena are used to.
Yes.
You know, when you want to raise fishes, you put them into water and not into acid, let's say.
No, let's not do that.
So when you want to work with spirits, you have to work with darkness.
And
so easy it is.
Yes, and I think we will adjust. And if I may ask the persons who are here, when we were sitting in the seance circle in the beginning in the darkness, for some of you it was scary, wasn't it, to get used to the dark? Remember?
Yeah.
And now it feels even safe, nice, like you're cared of in the dark. Now we love it, looking forward to sit with each other. So it's the fear that will... Huh? Did you? I heard that from you, yeah. Isn't it so that, Kai, that phenomena are miracles of life that can be shown, that are true wonders of our deepest insight?
Oh, yes, definitely. I mean, it's the wonders that were reported from the beginning of mankind. The supernatural, the history of the supernatural is the history of its occurrence around the human being. And from some point on, the human beings did not want only to be passively contacted by the supernatural. Mm-hmm. They wanted to get in contact proactively,
yes,
with the supernatural. And so all these rituals and ceremonials were invented and were brought up to get in contact with that very, very special realm.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And with this realm are coming the phenomena.
Yes, that's so. Okay, we go to the next question. Thank you.
Yes.
I heard from my spirit team that with phenomena we are starting to experience in our circle, personal guides, those who call themselves our colleagues, I mean those who has never lived on earth but stay with us during our lives, that they play a remarkable role with our beloved spirit friends who work with them in that matter during the circle. Are you personally aware of that, Kai? And if so, would you like to share a few words about this? So that our main guides who belong to us during life are helping very much our, let's say, beloved spirit friends, the one who lived on earth, to help them to achieve a phenomena.
Or help them to come through, for example. We call them usually doorkeepers, and doorkeepers have exactly that responsibility to, for example, bring loved ones through, or bring specific communicators through.
Yes, but what I am trying to say is that, by example, to if you have some fluorescing light, you have some plates, or how you call it, some board where is
the plug usually called the plug.
Yes, who gives light, that they put their, let's say, hands or their shadow on it. They told me that most of the time that our personal guides who do this kind of phenomena, and it's not always the loved ones from spirit. They work together, but they use the personal guides of the medium itself to achieve a lot of this kind of phenomena, because they are helping with all the goals that we want to achieve in life, and they are with us during our life.
Yeah, I mean, we work more with the concept of a spirit team that is solely responsible for the seance room scenario.
Yes, absolutely.
And yes, they are responsible for initiating phenomena, but these phenomena are not necessarily always and exclusively executed by our loved ones. No, not at all.
Exactly.
There are spirit entities.
Yes, that's what I mean. This is exactly what I mean. Okay.
Same with us.
Yes, wonderful. Okay. You're not too tired. Can we continue, Kai? Or do you want...
Yes, let's say one more question.
One more question, because I have 10 more questions.
Yeah, I know.
We will bring the others to another time.
Of course.
If you like to, about this subject.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, one more question. Now, let's say 2 questions.
Yeah, come on. Spit them out, Zonneglossis.
Okay. In some wonderful books I have seen about the ectoplasm, I noticed difference in texture of it. From thin as lace to strong as iron. How is that possible? Do you think that it has to do with the location of the body from which the ectoplasm comes, or is it pure that it can come from every spot of the body? I mean, from the neck, or from the mouth, or the nose, or the solar plexus? These different textures.
Yes, this with these different textures was observed from the beginning on already, when it was even called spirit cloth. It was, for example, observed that the spirit cloth was taking on the texture of the tapestry, at the walls, the tapestry.
Yes.
Very much often it was observed that ectoplasm was taking the texture of worldly materials, like manufactured form of blossom, for example, of cotton wool, very much resembling it then. Its strength, if that is dependent from which part of the body it might exit, the most knowledge about that actually William Crawford has in his amazing books worked forward, and What you are referring to is by him described as the rod and cantilever theory, and it is exactly addressing your question. Working with a famous Irish circle at that time in Dublin, is Dublin Irish? Yes. He was able to make groundbreaking exploration and research into ectoplasmic phenomena. For example, how when ectoplasm was exiting the medium's body from the foot, that has happened and was observed different times. So when ectoplasm is exiting the medium's body from the foot and the foot has a stocking on, then the outer form of the ectoplasm that is protruding the stocking, that is go through the stocking, but still it beholds the texture of the stocking actually. Crawford was able to document that in an amazing way with a lot of photographs and very much intriguing, and very, very thoroughly researched by him. In his third book, this was 3 editions of books, and mainly in his third book about the Gallagher Circle in Dublin, all these results are with photos proven. The book is called The Psychic Structures at the Gallagher Circle. The Psychic Structures at the Gallagher Circle, and this is an amazing book, and everybody who is interested should have that in the library.
Okay, so from your telling, there comes a question. I can't help it, but the structure can be seen in red light. By example, even a trumpet is going up. There can be sometimes seen like metal, so strong that gives a trumpet up.
Yeah.
But there are also sometimes rods that you can't see, but are still there and are still a kind of ectoplasm, what is not visible with the eyes.
Yeah.
I read about that. Maybe in the future with some kind of photography we can see it, but it's still there. That's what I read.
Yeah, at different aggregate states of ectoplasm from the beginning on, ectoplasm was observed in different, they believed, in different aggregate states. And even Swedenborg, who already 1746 was foreseeing, respectively foretelling, the spiritual movement of the 1900s, and he was already describing is in his Arcania Coelestia. This is a book of visions he wrote in 1746. He is describing ectoplasmic occurrence happening in that movement he was foretelling, and he describes it very, very well, and he is already referring to different grades of density in which this substance can occur.
Okay. Yeah, that's so. Okay, we come to the end, and I will ask you a reaction on the following, what I will share with you, Kai, and then we say goodbye, I believe. Our beloved ones cry with us midst sometimes difficult periods and struggles in life. And above all, they are longing to share our joy. They help us whenever possible. We do not only live for ourselves, but we are in constant contact with each other in life and after death. And of course, our personal guides are part of our lives in everything we do. They are the ones who help us. That is their task in their existence during our life, they told me. Spirit love humans to get more understanding of this. And if you agree, can you explain why? If you agree, Kai.
Intelligence and intelligence in the form of individual existences, like the human existence of Earth, always stands in contact with a bigger scheme of information, let's say, or of informational values and informational content. It is the intelligence of the universe, and very much often the intelligence of the universe is coming close to us, overhanded by people we know, so to speak, by our loved ones, because it is easy and comforting, and we have a strong connection to them. They are part of us. We are part of them.
Exactly.
In a bigger scheme.
Yes.
From a higher viewpoint, so to speak. So we are connected with them, and it is simply natural that they do come to us and interact with us the moment we enter the realm of spirit communication.
Absolutely. So it's good to be aware that we're not living only, like I said, for ourselves alone, but in connection with everything around us.
Unquestionably.
Wonderful.
We are so much more. Our spirit guide once said only a very short sentence, but so meaningful. And in German it is called Alles ist bedeutungsvoller. And it means everything has more meaning as it seems. And actually everything is more than we believe it to be. And yes, that of course has huge implications for us, referring to our lives, referring to our hopes and dreams, and referring to our work in the seance room and our work with the spirits. And so there is for sure always something new and surprising and fascinating still to come in the future.
That's great. So let's be connected and keep connected with us.
Definitely.
So we say goodbye, I think. Yes?
Ladies, gentlemen.
Thank you so much. Love and light to you and Julia. And
love
blessings
and light,
to
my friends. Love
everything
and light
in the circles.
to you too. Talk
Bye-bye.
soon.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Kai.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, you're very much welcome. You're very much welcome. Have a good night, everybody.
Good night, Kai.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.